So, hello and welcome to my next chess video here. This time I show you the game between Monarch 1.7 with white against Deep Fritz 14. I let them play the Queen's Gambit declined orthodox variation, which arises after the moves d4, d5, c4, e6, knight to c3, knight f6, bishop g4, bishop e7, knight f3, knight to e7, knight to d7, and e3 castles. And we have the first move calculated by Monarch. The Monarch takes here on c4, and I will probably take with a knight. Then we would have this kind of exchange, and then probably bishop to d3, probably knight takes here, pawn takes here, and c4, something like c5, something like this, and then maybe castling. Yeah, we have knight takes by Deep Fritz 14. Now probably bishop takes e7, which is kind of forced. At least I will play bishop takes e7. Maybe the bishop can come back also to no, bishop takes is kind of the normal move here. Then here castling, and probably something like b3, although then bishop here might be a problem. Followed by h4 maybe. No, this doesn't work, this Greek gift sacrifice, because then I can jump to f6. So maybe b3, e4, bishop here, e5, and I don't know, maybe takes, put a rook on the c file, h4. Now the Greek gift sacrifice is threatened. Although h3 is not the best move, because just h6 and there is nothing happening. But for example, if the rook goes here, which is a normal move, though, well, this probably saves black as well, because I don't know, the king can run. No, this is mate, the king cannot run. I don't know, this check followed by that check is threatened, so the queen has to move so that the king can evacuate here. But then there is a check right there, a check here, a check there, a check there, and a mate there. Well, it's not mate immediately, but after that it's checkmate. So the Greek gift sacrifice would be threatened after h4, but black can just play h6, and now maybe something like rook here, followed by rook takes, queen takes, rook here, queen probably goes to f5, f4, and maybe there are some attacks on the black king. But let's see. Also, the other move is bishop takes f3 here in this position, opening up white's king, and then you can win a pawn right here. So probably h4 or rook h4 is probably not a good move. So I don't know, maybe queen e2, and then the game continues. Yeah. What to play here with black? Maybe something like f6, but then this pawn gets weak, takes, and rook here. Have to defend this pawn, and after this it's very hard to defend this pawn. Keep on defending it, but black has some compensation, I think. For the pawn can go queen here, threaten this pawn, Then the rook comes to the d file. So now you cannot take because of this Abzugschach, this covered check attacking the queen. And there is still this problem with that pawn here. The knight can't move because this is threatened. So I don't know if f6 is a good move there. But maybe just doubling on the c file or put the rook on the d file to maybe put some pressure to that pawn right here. Then maybe the rook challenges the other rook on the c file. We have an exchange of rooks. And I don't know. Maybe some waiting move, h6. Bishop goes back with the idea queen here to threaten checkmate here, or a check. The king has to go there and followed by checkmate right here. Maybe something like this is possible, but let's see what else could we do there. Okay, we have that position right here on the board. Bishop d3 is also played, and now, yeah, maybe knight takes, or the other knight comes to f6, or maybe e5. No, e5 hangs a knight here, so this doesn't work. So maybe c6 followed by e5, but then e4 takes e5. This could also be possible. Maybe e5 here. Now the bishop here is blocked by its own pawn, and this bishop is now open on this diagonal. So maybe something like this is possible. But I just see that Fritz is calculating knight f6 in this position. Knight d6 to f... what? Knight d5 to f6. So putting the knight back here. I don't know about this. Knight takes is my favorite. c6, but after c6 maybe something like h4. And then e5. Well, the Greek gift doesn't work here because the knight can go to f6. Back. So c6, knight d5, f6. Yeah, it's a solid move. Can't argue with that, but it's not that threatening. Maybe the knight jumps into e5. The knight takes, and the queen. The knight goes back here. And then maybe something like, no, f5 doesn't work here because the e3 pawn is under fire. But maybe something like this. And I just see if some crazy ideas of mine work here. No, not that, of course. g4, b6, g5, bishop here, knight here, check, pawn takes, queen somewhere, and then queen here, check, followed by mate. So this is just something I quickly wanted to see, but black has to play very wrong moves if something like this ever works. But it's an idea. Knight to e5. Yeah, maybe knight to e5. Knight takes, knight goes back to e5. Maybe now knight takes, pawn takes, and now f4, followed by f5, f6, castling, of course. Then the bishop might have a good square right here. Oh no. Then you get f5 with tempo. So probably not that. Probably something like b6 here to fianchetto the bishop. Castling. Bishop here. Queen here. Threatening a mate. So maybe something like g3. And something like this to threaten rook here to here. So maybe the rook comes to the d file. Then this seems to be quite nasty, because this is also checkmate. So you have to be careful with black here how to handle this position. Okay, the knight goes back. Maybe knight e5 now. Also possible is of course castling and only then play knight e5. And then maybe c4. Breaking in the center. And yeah, what to do? Or maybe even e5 by black. e5 takes, knight takes, queen takes, and black has got rid of all of his problems. So maybe e5 is a good move after castling. Maybe e5. Then probably there is also this knight to b4 threatening this pawn here. But yeah, just c6. Knight, if the knight hops in, then the rook moves. Then maybe d5. Takes, knight takes, bishop takes here. Takes and queen takes there, but black is up a piece here. But how else to save the knight? Very interesting, very interesting. Although after this, yeah, c6, no, knight b5 is nothing. Knight b5 is nothing. Also the other move is b6 here immediately to put the bishop on this diagonal. Yep, then maybe knight here. Well, knight here does nothing because the bishop can just develop. And black got rid of all of his problems here in this position also. So yeah, we have to move b6. Maybe now e4. At least I would play e4, or I would calculate e4. Bishop to b6, e5. Knight here. h4 to again threaten the Greek gift sacrifice. h6 to stop this. Let's see. h4, if you take here, then bishop takes there, king takes, knight here, knight, queen takes knight, pawn takes knight, knight takes queen, and rook takes queen, and black is up 2 pieces, so the Greek gift sacrifice doesn't work here. And if you take off this knight, then bishop takes here, queen takes here, and queen takes h4, so h4 is also in this position not a good move, but it's sometimes an idea. Sometimes you can try and go in for something like this. But okay, we have a move by the Monarch. The Monarch plays something else, not e4. The Monarch plays queen a4. What's the idea behind queen a4? Probably something like this. By black. Now maybe e4. c5. e5, knight here. I don't know what's the queen doing on this square right there. Maybe rook here. what's the queen doing there? After this the knight is threatened, so you'd have to go here. Now maybe knight takes, knight attacking the knight here on the f6 square. So probably knight to d5. But yeah, black also get rid of all of his problems. I don't see anything for the white team. So let's see both evaluations after castles. b6, queen a4, and bishop to b7. Let's see both evaluations. Deep Fritz 14 thinks it's equal, and the Monarch also thinks it's kind of equal. So probably is a kind of equal. Yeah, I would also say it's kind of equal. Black get rid of all of his problems. So yeah, this queen a4, I don't really understand this move. Now bishop takes f3 is threatened, so probably knight to somewhere. Yeah, knight to e5, probably. I don't know. Rook a e1 is the thing. Monarch is calculating. Rook a d1. Sorry, not rook a e1, rook a d1. But now bishop takes f3, opening up the king. The queen is here somewhere in Siberia, and I don't know. Yeah, I now see the idea behind this, but why not rook a d1? The idea was probably to put the bishop there and exchange his strong bishop, but okay, bishop takes f3, pawn takes f3. Yeah, but now how to get to the king, that's the question. Of course, bishop takes f3 is a good move here in this position. I would play this immediately without thinking, but okay. How to get to white's king here, that position. I'll smoke a cigarette now while watching this game and analyze it. Probably e5, but e5 is somehow also risky. e5, pawn takes, knight takes. Now they have 3 bodies threatened, so the bishop has to go back to defend it. Now maybe knight h4, threaten some queen check, but I don't know. After this both knights are attacked, so probably it's not that bad. And you have the open d file now for the rook, and probably king h1, rook g1 is an idea for the Monarch, so probably it's not that bad. Yeah, we have the move bishop takes f3 by Fritz. Yeah, g takes f3 now. It's kind of forced. G takes f3. Now e5 probably. e5 or c5, both pawn breaks are possible here in this position. I would go for something like e5, but c5 is also kind of possible. Yeah, now I like Fritz's position because I don't really know what the queen on a4 is doing, and yeah, I will make a short break and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, what moves do we have? We had the move c5, bishop here, and a6. Now probably taking there, taking there, taking there, taking there. Attacking the queen. Queen moves, yeah, probably here. To pin the knight. But then maybe a rook there. Okay, we don't have to, we don't take. The bishop goes here now, attacking the rook. Maybe here now, counter-attacking the queen. No, not knight takes, of course not. Queen here. And rook there. No, rook there. You have to defend the pawn. And now I don't know. Now maybe e5. Taking here also might be possible. It's not the greatest of all things to do, taking there. But okay, it's opening up the rook, so let's see. Knight takes. And e4 maybe, followed by e5. Also possible is that, no, this doesn't threaten anything because everything is defended. But maybe b4 to attack the knight. b4. Knight hovels back. Now maybe queen here to attack the rook. The rook doesn't have a lot of squares. Probably it doesn't have any square. So probably b4 now. Knight here loses a pawn. Maybe not knight takes, maybe, but queen takes and you lose a piece. Maybe you'll just leave the pawn right there. Or maybe after this, that takes. Yeah, leave the pawn right here and try for something else. Okay, you cannot move any of your pieces somehow. So, okay. We have a move by Fritz. We have the move queen to d8. Probably not just take it. Rook takes. Taking there. Knight takes. Rook takes. I just take everything and see what this position is all about. Yeah, it should be around equal. Should be an even position here. So I see both evaluations and I think it's kind of equal. And the Monarch has to exchange queens now because after queen a3 then b4 forks the knight and the queen. So you have to exchange queens now. Fritz thinks it's slightly better for black. This Ankim and the Monarch thinks it's better for white. So let's see. Yeah, we have this exchange, but I doubt that Fritz will go for that. The Monarch will go for the rook exchange there. Probably takes on. I don't know if you even take here. Can go for something like e5. Takes. Knight takes. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Knight here, threatening the bishop and the pawn. So the bishop has to move somewhere, probably here to attack the a pawn. Still defend here. Now maybe f. Oh wait, you don't have to move the bishop. You can just simply go f4. Attacking the knight. The knight moves somewhere. Probably to g3. But then maybe even there to push this pawn even further. Okay, we don't have this. we have to move f4 immediately. If takes, then probably rook takes. You're on the knight. Yeah, I think the monarch is... Yeah, I think the monarch is here. Its position is pretty good. But Fritz can defend this, I think. You don't have to take here. To take is a mistake, they say. If you take the c-pawn, then you develop black's knight. And if black takes the d-pawn, then you develop white's rook. So the take is a mistake. Probably push now. Then maybe b3, now taking. Taking and rook there. To fork. Taking here. Taking there, now the pawn is attacked and the bishop is attacked, and the bishop doesn't have a square. Yeah, so probably taking here, probably b3 is also a mistake. So have to move f4. I don't know. Fritz is calculating something else. Fritz is calculating knight b8 to attack the bishop and defend the a pawn. But now the bishop can safely go to f3, for example. Keep an eye on this h4 square so that the knight cannot jump here or here on g4. g4, h5. This bishop is now controlling that knight. But yeah, we will see. Bishop f3. Pawn takes, rook takes, rook takes, pawn takes, isolated d-pawn, doubled isolated f-pawn. But how bad is this really? Something like this. Yeah, it should be better for black though. So knight b8 is kind of a good move. This is now very hard to defend for white, because white's pawns are split. White has 1, 2, 3, 4 pawn islands, or maybe even 5 if you count the doubled isolated pawn as 2 pawn islands. And black has got only 2 pawn islands. Very, very nice pawn structure by black. So yeah, what else can you do? Pawn takes. Yeah, rook takes, pawn takes, rook here, rook here. Maybe you can get rid of one of them with d5. But maybe b4 now, attacking the knight. Knight hovers back. And now maybe knight here. Knight takes, rook takes. And this pawn with knight b3 to follow, with knight c6 to follow. Okay, the monarch plays something else. Then bishop f3. The monarch plays the move bishop to b7. But what about rook here? Attacking the bishop. Now the bishop has to move again. Bishop goes there. And rook here. Yeah, well, pawn takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, bishop takes, knight here. This is better for white now because of this pawn right here. But still attacking the rook. The rook moves there, the bishop goes to f3. Nothing changes about this endgame. It's still the same endgame. The same position than before. So also c takes d4 immediately is possible, because the bishop is not attacking anything. C takes d4, rook takes d4 maybe. Rook takes d4, pawn takes d4, rook here, rook there, knight maybe here to attack this pawn, and it's very hard to defend this pawn. So Yeah, I think black is winning a pawn in that position. The bishop should really stand on f3 to keep an eye on this h5 square, but it doesn't, so this pawn is falling. Let's see both evaluations right now. I think Fritz is better off here. The Monarch thinks it's +1. This I can't believe. And Fritz thinks it's minus 0.59. So both engines think that they are better, but I kind of believe in Fritz here in this position. Yeah, because of this variation here. And you cannot... well, you could defend it with knight here, defending the pawn. But it's very hard here to keep equality. Yeah, probably rook here anyway. Bishop here attacking the knight. Knight goes back to f3. Maybe it's holdable. Yeah, we have this kind of transaction. So we are now in this position. Rook f d8, probably followed by rook f. F to d1. Also rook f to c1 is an idea, because after you take the pawn, then knight takes here, threatens the rook, and threatens a back rank mate. So you'd have to go back, and now you can... no, this hangs a piece. This hangs a piece, but can maybe go there. So probably this was the idea. The bishop is now defending against this pin, and now you are twice on this pawn, but black can maybe just push it. And yeah, but rook here, rook check, queen here, rook here, rook takes pawn, attacking the bishop. The bishop moves back. How is this position? Yeah, probably this is equal. Yeah, it's true that white's pawn structure is not great and black's pawn structure is perfect, but white has a passed a pawn, so maybe something like this is possible. But you don't have to go in for that. After rook c1 you can play king to f8 to probably go here. So now, for example, some random move, king here. Now you threaten this. You don't threaten this again, because the knight on d8 would hang. Takes. Rook here, king here, rook takes there. Rook takes there. It's a pawn 4 against 5. So black is up a pawn. Yeah, but this is hard to win for black. Yep, I agree black's position is superior, but by how much? This is the question. Rook c1 maybe. And now what? Developing the knight is not really possible. Yeah, we have to move rook d1. Now rook c1. I will play. This seems to be the most aggressive move. I wanna check both evaluations now again. Monarch still thinks it's better, and Fritz still thinks it's better for him. And I think it's equal, maybe slightly better for black, but I don't see why the Monarch thinks it's +1 for white, because yeah, white's pawns are just to split, and black can maybe get something out of this. Also maybe knight e2 to defend the pawn. The pawns is possible. You could attack the bishop now, because after this, the bishop has no squares. Well, you could defend it with this move, but okay. Also here is not that great. Bishop goes to the open file, and well, you cannot go here anyway because the knight could just take it. So probably here takes, but this endgame is just equal, I think. So okay, we have a move here by Fritz. Fritz plays the move g3, making some loot for the king. Okay, that's always nice. g3. Now all of black's pawns are on light squares. Is this good or bad? Because white has a light square bishop, and they can be attacked through the bishop. If everything exchanges, then this could become handy for black. g6, what's white's move? Maybe rook fc1 now, going after this check, or going after the rook exchange. What's black's idea here? Put the king here. Now here, rook exchange, playing a5 so that the knight can move. Yeah, this endgame should be equal. We have the same amount of pawns. Maybe slightly better for black because the pawn structure is just better. But I don't see how black wins this. We have to move rook c1. King g1 now, probably. King g7. And yeah, again, both evaluations. Yeah, I think it's nothing for both sides. It's just an even position here. Good opening play from both sides. King g7 is played now. I think I'll call it a draw, but in a couple of moves. We have the move a3 instead of rook here. The move a3. I think it's too early to call it a draw, but yeah, I will call it a draw soon. Bishop f3 probably now. Also bishop here might be possible. No, bishop here. You just pin it, the bishop, and win it. So bishop f3. Controlling this knight. And what now with black? The move rook c8 is threatened. So probably something like knight here. So that after knight queen rook here, the knight still doesn't have a square. So yeah, what to do with black here? Yeah, I think I will call it a draw. Let's see. Yeah, we have to move rook a7. But what about this one? Yeah, well, the knight can go there. And should still be equal. Let's see. I'll call it a draw now. Maybe it's too early for calling it a draw, but I'll do it. Now we have a draw here. The game is adjudicated as a draw. So let's see. Let's see what Stockfish has to say about all that. But before, let's see how long they played theory. Till there. Yeah, queen a4. Also, Stockfish thinks this is not the greatest of all moves. Bishop here takes. Okay. How is this endgame? It's equal. It's just equal. Bishop b7. Yeah, good move. Takes. Rook takes. Rook takes. Pawn takes. Yeah. No advantage for both sides. And here I called it a draw, and Stockfish approves. This is a draw. Maybe slightly better for black, but it's a draw. It's even. So yeah, probably I called it a draw too early, but yeah, let's see how Stockfish would continue this game. Knight here, h5, king here, knight here. Takes, get rid of one problem. Knight comes in, f5. Yeah, something like this, and here you can really call it a draw. It's even. White has a bishop against a knight, but black has the better pawn structure, so this compensates for the bishop. So thanks for watching and see you next time. Ciao.